Hi, everybody. This is 1,160 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. 1,160 days. And wow, this has been a very exciting day. Again, again. Start off beautiful day. Great day to go to the apple orchard. Great day to go to the apple orchard. It's just amazing. And when you go out and focus on something good, then good things happen. See, this is what it is. Richard was saying, don't do it. They don't respect you. They think of you bad, because when you participate in things that are bad, then it's bad, and then all the thoughts are bad. And, so uh, we were being told everything bad, and we rejected it. At our at being a Christian, at our baptism, we're asked to reject the lies, reject the father of lies, reject Satan, reject the devil and all his works and all his minions. Um, so it was just put your hand up. I know my evangelical friends, they go, put your hand up. Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, Satan. And that's exactly what Team 5 Richard Halliday did. Thank you. Thank you, my Christian brothers and sisters that have had great influence to give us power in the name of Jesus to tell these liars, to tell these um, deceivers, people that are up to no good, to just get away, get out of our way, because we're seeking truth, we're seeking light, we're seeking Richard, justice, all for the glory of God, because everything that we do, we need to do for righteousness' sake, to glorify God. And at the very beginning of all of this, they were such liars, such liars. And we rejected them. Praise God. Thank you, God, that we had the support of so many that you gave us, that we could reject the lies, because that is a very, very difficult thing to do. It's no easy task. And because, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, these liars. And so, what am I talking about? The first thing that I want to touch on tonight, I mean, it's crazy. Let me make sure that I'm on here. The first thing I want to touch on tonight is what I touched on yesterday, maybe the day before too, um, because it always takes a little bit of time, a few days to. It always takes a little. Sorry, that was really loud. And I am on. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. I see you now. Thank you. Thank you for your prayers and your love. Um, yeah, that's what makes us move forward through all of the deception. And what I'm talking about, and it takes a few days to discuss it, think about the implications of the information. And what I'm talking about is the July 9th, 2020 agreement to dismiss Richard's DUI, unjust, groundless DUI case. Okay, that, you know, January 27th, 2020, sitting in a parking lot. And, this is midnight, 1 o'clock, and the canine cop comes up. Clearly, no camera on, no probable cause, no probable cause, no camera on, and no alcohol, no drugs, nothing. So, of course, when you do a pretrial diversion. I've been learning about that for a long time. I didn't know anything about it until this, and knowing more and more about it. Absolutely, with this agreement, they all knew. They all knew. And that means on July 9th, 2020, there was a big earthquake. There was a big earthquake. There was a big shaking at Fort Bliss in Richard's command. And what do I mean by that? So I've talked to many people now. Of course, Rob. Um, we've talked to many people. We absolutely know the military. We absolutely know that Major General Clem Coward's ground fell out from under his feet that day when it comes to the permanent GOMAR that he issued, meant to destroy Richard. When you issue a GOMAR, that's painful. But when you issue a permanent GOMAR, you're destroying a person's career, any chance they have in the military. Okay? Because you're flagged. You're flagged. You can't go to any courses or training or be promoted or anything. Okay? So you have no future in the military with a permanent GOMAR. It is meant to destroy, it's meant to start the Chapter 14 process, meaning to kick the soldier out. Okay, and that's exactly what happened. And when July 9th, 2020, the agreement was made that because there was no evidence, to Richard never conceded to the DUI. He never pled guilty. There was a lot of refusal. And there was no camera and there was nothing to legally justify to charge him. And so on July 9th, 2020, this is 2 weeks before he went missing. And this is public information. Anyone can go get this public information. And it's been there. It's been sitting there the whole time. Can you believe it? July 9th, 2020, an agreement was made to dismiss Richard's case. On that day, not only was Major General Clem Coward shaken, all of Richard's leadership were shaken, including Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, that had used that for a basis for a field grade Article 15. Patterns of misconduct. Okay? That's what he got him for. Patterns of misconduct. And everything that they did to him, the taking away 3 ranks, 60 days of restriction, 45 days of extra duty, wearing full battle gear with a mask. That's May and June in El Paso. And 50% of his pay for 2 months. Full, as much penalty, as much punishment as they could give him, they gave him. And then that wasn't good enough. They had to add more. The full battle gear was adding more. And also it was COVID, the mask. So absolutely, they were out to punish Richard for nothing. Richard has no criminal record. Okay? He has no criminal record. And they went after him to destroy him because he was a whistleblower. And he was whistleblowing on them. He was whistleblowing on their equipment, um, military weapons and military equipment and military ammunition smuggling. He was whistleblowing on the child abuse. Okay, so which I'm going to talk about. Uh, I'm going to flow right into that child abuse and child pornography. Um, but I want to ask these questions. So, did Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward, and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick say to each other, say to themselves, oh my goodness, we unjustly retaliated against Richard Halliday. We really drove him into the ground. We were out to ruin him. We need to apologize. We need to resend the permanent GOMAR, resend the Chapter 14, resend the field grade Article 15. We did him wrong. We did him dirty, but that's not our duty. We need to have his six. We need to do what's right. We need to protect our soldiers, especially when they're a whistleblower. When they're a whistleblower, then we have even more of a duty to add a heightened protection around our soldiers. We need to apologize. Matter of fact, we need to make sure that Richard gets compensated for all the pain and suffering we have caused him. Did they say that? Did they do that? I, I don't think so. I don't see it. What I see is a code red, is a green light to murder Richard. That's what I see. I see a green light to murder Richard and to offer cover for that, to cover it up at the highest levels with millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. Why? So that they could continue with the arms and ammunition and equipment smuggling because it's so profitable, or the human trafficking, which I don't know if that's what Richard was calling them out on, but definitely the child abuse and child sex videos, absolutely. So was it narcotics trafficking? That's what we're told. We're told it was all of the above, because Richard was privy with his pursuit to be a CID agent in the Army, and getting into that circle of law enforcement agents, including Thomas Kane, the the director of emergency services, the chief of security of Fort Bliss, also the professor of criminology. So he was in that circle. And with the CID internship, absolutely in that circle and absolutely privy to see what was going on there. And I don't think that they apologized to Richard and restored him. And they had there's 2 weeks before. So I think that's breaking news there. That's and this is so sad in Richard's case, because we do have, and I don't know how much weight this carries, but we have information coming to us that there was a discharge of a weapon in the arms room. Okay, so there should be a record of a discharge in the arms room. Okay, if there was one, we're getting that. And so for me to call this a smoking gun is makes me want to cry, right? It makes me want to cry. This is so evil you can't even use your regular terms anymore, right? Because it's so applicable in our son's case. Everything, everything that's evil. So, but we're going to focus on what's good, which means justice. That's focusing on what's good is getting the institutional support and having the evidence and then equaling to the accountability, the justice. That's what we're focused on. So, you know, institutional support plus evidence equals accountability. So we're trying to handle this in the most positive way to because we know that if that's where we focus, that's what's going to happen because the lies aren't sustainable. The lies, what they do is just pull you down into the depths of darkness and just grab hold of you and turn you into, twist you and turn you into a pretty mean person. One of them, you become one of them. And I think that J.R.R. Tolkien um, really portrayed that very, very well. How, you need to watch out because they can get you and grab you and groom you and turn you into a very mean person. And we've worked very hard as Team Farm Richard Halliday not to let them um, do that to us and our family. So I want to go back to talking about porn. Um, we have breaking news when it comes to Leilani Hart again. So Leilani Hart on November 5th, 2017. I did post up 2019. Um, this is public record, but she has so many problems in her record that it's easy to make a mistake because she has just one polluted moment after the next, one crisis of chaos after the next, right? This is just all her whole life is one crisis of chaos, bringing chaos wherever she is, pollution wherever she is, ruining um, the ruination of everyone around and even the very place that she lives. And and I don't mean to be negative. I'm being very kind when I say that because she's a convicted criminal. She's a convicted criminal. She's been in handcuffs by what we can count 3 times. She's been in handcuffs 3 times. And one time was in 2017, November 5th, when she was at church. Okay? When she's at church. She can't even manage church without bringing a crisis of chaos. So much so that they have to call the MPs because this is on Fort Bliss, and the MPs have to arrest her for assault at church on Fort Bliss. November 5th, 2017. Remember, she was arrested for filing a false claim, giving false information to law enforcement authorities. And then she was arrested for breaking a restraining order. And now she is arrested for assault. Okay? Assault on Fort Bliss at church, 2017, November 5th. Um, so it's bad. It's really bad. And she claims, um, because see, this other date that I have is Leilani Hart uh, accuses James, to a paralegal, on the 29th of June 2019. There's a 2019 of fraud. A fraud while having, I think, 8 years of affairs with Lisa Lennon Williams, both of them being VA employees. So they're in an inappropriate relationship while they're working together, while they're committing fraud, while they're using social security numbers, while they're, she's saying that James is, uh, this is all in public information. Okay, so say a prayer before you look her up. Okay, and say a prayer while you're looking her up, and say a prayer after you're looking her up, because you're going to find out that she continuously repeats what's in that July 22nd, 2020 affidavit that she had notarized. Okay. Um, really sick stuff. But she adds some other stuff on another um, sworn statement that is public, that he forged her name and that he was using bank accounts. And I'm just saying there's a lot of fraud there. A lot of fraud using forgery, a lot of fraud using stealing identity, a lot of fraud um, trying to get money out and everything. And it is interesting that he left the country in July 2020. James Hart left the country in July of 2020. He went to the Philippines. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I think things were not good. Okay. And in this whole divorce thing, uh, she she puts a complaint against the judge that he's racist. Okay, against her being an islander, a hula dancer, I guess, I don't know, but that she's a Pacific Islander and that he is racist against her. Well, let me tell you, I know that the islanders that I've ever been in contact, we all loved them, right? They were just, but anyway, maybe this judge was different. I don't know. I don't know. But she puts in a complaint against him. And so then it opens up this whole can of worms when it comes to racism. And she, in a public statement, she rails against her husband as a racist. I mean, she spills the beans on James Hart that he constantly demeans people of color, of the islanders, of, that he is just a total racist. Um, and what I get from her is that he just picks and chooses who he hates, right? I guess. Like she says he hates, um, I can't even repeat it. Just let me tell you that it's a big can of worms of racism, and I don't really want to repeat it. It is so vile and vulgar what she quotes James Hart as saying. It is racism on steroids, vile and vulgar. It's so terrible. And she swears by it, right? Now, this is where we can't just dismiss it so quick. It's like this notarized affidavit that, the authorities don't want to address. Who's going to get arrested on this? Someone has to get arrested. If she's telling a lie, she needs to get arrested. She can't just make these kind of allegations and get away with it. Right? That's a real problem. That anyone can make any allegations and get away with it. So this is an arrestable uh, situation here. It's either James gets arrested, Dallas Hart gets arrested, or Leilani Hart gets arrested, right? So it's a whole mess here. And now with this racism issue, it is another issue where you say, okay, this is a divorce, this is a dirty divorce, but wait, hold on a minute. We are talking about allegations of racism on steroids that are so vile and vulgar. You have to go take a long bath afterwards, right? Because it's just so polluting. Um, and he works at the VA. He works at the VA. He is on the health board to decide the disability benefits for all veterans. And the last time I looked, our veterans are every size and shape and color, every race there. And so is he going to pick and choose who he favors? Because that's another allegation that she has, that he commits fraud in his work. In his work when it comes to the IDS Pablo, which is the health board for deciding the disabled benefits of veterans. And so I know it's a mouthful, but it's very, very important because is he trusted? I mean, not only is he committing infidelity while he is a public servant, but now he has all of these allegations of these quotes that are just so bad. And this is like how he feels about people. And, he can't be trusted on on the very sensitive issues with our veterans and with their files. He can't be trusted. Or they need to make some arrests with her. They need to arrest her. And where is Major General Eisenhower in all of this? Okay, here she is being arrested in 2017, late November of 2017, at the church right there on Fort Bliss for assault. And then she has this long convicted criminal history. All kinds of things are going on in this family, whether it's incest, whether it is a raping of a 7-year-old in her master bedroom, if it is all the child porn. And now we have confirmed that they were absolutely, James Hart was absolutely creating child porn and other porn and selling it to soldiers. Okay, this is a criminal family, right? So that leads us to, where is Eisenhower in all this? You're supposed to be a 2-star general and you can't secure your own base. You are allowing the obstruction of Richard's case because you want to protect child porn? Because you want to protect our the people that traffic or what do you call it, smuggle the weapons and all of that, the equipment, that they're committing fraud, that they're, you're not even looking into it. You're not even looking into those allegations that Leilani Hart has made. Not me. Leilani Hart has made all of those allegations. So, yeah, it is because, they were illegally purchasing weapons. Okay. So that needs to be answered. That needs to be addressed. They need to stop obstructing our son's case with all of the problems of the Hart family. And, shame on Angela Kochurga. Shame on her. I mean, I don't know what her faith is, but can you imagine? Can you imagine? She must not sleep good at night. Her conscience is pretty rotten and must haunt her. Absolutely haunt her. I don't know, but maybe she's just callous. Maybe she's just hard hearted. And, she can live obstructing the missing soldiers, murdered soldiers case. Um, yeah, but okay. One thing else that Leilani Hart, that I almost forgot to tell you, that in this sworn um, affidavit that she wrote, and I have the date. I hope it's the same date because the divorce is the 2019 DCM 3545. Um, but she says she's 100% disabled. She's 100% disabled. So she also, this is where we found all the vile, vulgar stuff. She writes Marlene Gonzalez. She writes the new judge that gets voted in, and she writes about her husband, um, that says the most racist, vulgar things and mentions dog collars. Okay, the whole doggy sex cult, the dog collars. I mean, that's how vile and vulgar. And I'm not going to go into. I think that's enough. But he is a GS employee, and how can he be in that position of great power when this kind of stuff is going on? And that it is, and then he takes off in July of 2020. That tells you something. And yeah, what did he do then? What did he do that he had to take off? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So this puts the spotlight on Dallas Hart, because if James is just even a portion of what Leilani is saying, and we know that Leilani is a convicted criminal, but now, we're also we have these warrants coming in, and we have the criminal records coming in, and that includes for Richard's platoon leader, right? We're getting the criminal records for Richard's platoon leader, which is very interesting because we're getting assault and much more, and much more. So yeah. Okay, let's see if I said everything. There's so much here. Oh yeah, there's so much. This was a date of December 15th, 16th of 2020. An emergency motion for temporary spousal support, where she accuses him, James Hart, of forgery of, trying of the documents and for loan's sake and all of that. So that's a sworn document. Yeah, it gets really, really messy. Make sure I've covered everything. If you have any questions, I will answer them right now. Uh, I can't lie, my head is spinning from today with all the information. Um, the big, I thought I had big breaking news with the July 9th, 2020 that would last, gosh, I think that's a smoking gun. I think that is motive for the code red escalation. I mean, the code red was there, right? It was there. They were proceeding, they were doing it to him, and then it escalated into his murder. And you need to have a motive for that. And so I think that I think there's plenty of motives, and this is a big one. The July 9th, 2020. Because what were they going to do? Restore Richard totally? That's would have been the right thing to do. And what would that have entailed to their careers? To say that they gave a whistleblower uh, retaliation. They have no grounds to cover it. They have no grounds. The case was dismissed. It was a done deal 2 weeks before Richard went missing. Not the September one. Okay, they prolonged that long thing. But no, it was a done deal July 9th, 2020. I think that is so huge. So huge. Because not only does that implicate Clem Coward and Jakovitz and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick and David Park, Captain David Park, and many others there. It also implicates the CID further, and of course, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, his SJA McGee, and Donna Martin, Lieutenant General Donna Martin, and General McConville and General Garrett. I mean, they absolutely, it implicates them. So, and anyone that knew all these lawyers, the whole JAG office, don't tell me JAG didn't know this. Don't tell me JAG did not know. I mean, you can tell it took us 3 years looking, looking, looking. I mean, this is so convoluted, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I think that goes a long way to get to the bottom of this, with many, many other things. But people that come on every day, like Danielle, like Donna, like Anicia, um, absolutely. Don't you see it like every day? It's like, what? What? And you've been there from the beginning, and you understand. You absolutely understand the shock of the corruption of all of this. Why didn't they tell us that Richard was a whistleblower? Why didn't they tell us that they found Richard's remains? Absolutely, they have Richard's remains. There's not a doubt in my mind that they don't have Richard's remains in some form or way, and maybe just partial remains, but they have them. And they know exactly what happened to Richard. They know. Because they went to millions of dollars and a lot of trouble to cover this up. And oh, yeah, geez. Okay, let's talk about Dallas Hart. I mean, this is why my head is swimming today. So we've been getting information for a long time, okay, about this car issue. And like I said, everything is there's so many lies. Even some of the people that you thought that you could trust um, turn out to be really a double agent. And so that Dallas Hart was in possession of Richard's car, we need clarification on that, because that's been coming up a lot. And, you know, uh, wow, that's a biggie. And there's a lot of suspicion around Richard's car and what that we were told and how we were told and his paperwork and all of that. There's a lot of suspicion. And so we really need to look into that further. And me saying it out loud motivates. And, if you have any questions with that, any suggestions with that, go ahead and fire them at us because we absolutely need to be reminded to look into that to get to the bottom of that. Which leads us to the another situation that we have to look into, and that's Dallas Hart's criminal record. So we've been told for a long time, and some really incredible information that even as an officer, he was not following SOP, not doing what he was supposed to. But beyond that, he has a criminal record, and uh, I just how does that happen? How does that happen? How can he have a criminal record and go through green to gold and be a platoon leader, right? So we need to get to the bottom of that because we are being told that he absolutely in New Mexico um, has a criminal record in New Mexico and also in El Paso and also on Fort Bliss, so that um, I don't know what the extent is. I don't know how it's recorded. I don't know. I'm just being told that, he does. And I've been told that for quite a while, for a long time, from the beginning, from the beginning of when we got our witness testimony. So this is years ago, um, because of the computer issue, because of him using other other computers. Um, yeah, so that's is that fraud? Is that fraud? I mean, you'd have to use that person's CAC card and not your own, and so you're doing things on a computer under some other person's name. So this is a big issue, and that came up very early. We were still in El Paso when that came up, and so or did we just get back? Well, I was talking to the witness there in El Paso. I remember it, and lots of information given at that time. And I don't think yeah. Anyway, I need to look at the timeline, but I can tell you that I've been speaking with this witness for a long time, and that was information that she gave us about Dallas Hart, and that brings us to the concern of his criminal history. Because if his mother is a convicted criminal and his father is like so criminal, I mean, wow. When you look up criminal in the dictionary, you see the face of Dallas Hart and James Hart and Leilani Hart. Um, I really wanted to say James Hart, but oops, maybe it's Dallas Hart too. Maybe that's the face in there. Um, because that's what we're being told. And of course, you know, uh, they seem to all have criminal records, but Richard doesn't. Richard doesn't have a criminal record. Richard doesn't have a criminal record, y'all. They wanted to try to make him one. It's these leadership. They try real hard. Let's turn him into uh, porn addicts. Let's turn them into child porn addicts. Let's turn them into predators, child predators. Let's turn them into, uh, alcoholics and PTSDs, and let's try to get them to commit suicide or whatever. I mean, they are failing on every front, and they couldn't believe that Richard had no criminal record. He had none. They have none, and they, even David Park said, well, we tried to get him on this and we tried to get him on that. We tried to get him on this. But, there was no evidence. There was no evidence. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. He's innocent. What? What? You mean we have a soldier that's upright that doesn't have a criminal record? Wowzer. Wowzer. Hey, we don't like that. How can that happen? We have to manufacture a smear campaign and some kind of criminal record on him. I mean, that's how wicked these people are. And so, but the truth is, he doesn't have a criminal record. Okay, so let me answer questions. Before or after Richard's disappearance, did he or they leave the country? We know, we're getting to the bottom of that. We know it's July 2020. And we believe it was after. But I don't want to say it until we know. Because that would give him an alibi, right? Danielle. Or was it after her affidavit she turned in against them? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we have to save some information for tomorrow. I mean, it's crazy every day. But so thank you for all the questions because this is so good because it helps us uncover, and that's what Team Find Richard Halliday does is we expose, and ask those hard questions that need to be asked, right? We ask them and we demand answers to them. And there's so many of them. You could write a whole encyclopedia of all the questions in Richard Halliday's case. It's so many, and it gets a little overwhelming, but we're going to do this. We're going to do it. I have 3 letters in front of me that I have to write. 3 letters that Rob had, I go through, I outline it, he writes it, he sends it. Yeah, so 3. 3 more. Yeah, it's what they have put us through. It's I can't even tell you. And I do not play the victim here. What I'm trying to point out, because I am so glad that I can do this for Richard. Okay? That I can get justice for Richard. That we're able to do this. That we do have Team Find Richard Halliday to help us do this. Right? But the point that I'm trying to make is we hire, we elect, we pay for education, for those that are smarter than us, more able than us, to sit in these air-conditioned offices with these big staffs to do this so that we can do what our calling is, run whatever business that we have, bake cakes, be grandmothers, be grandfathers, work in factories, work at our daily jobs. And it needs to be said every day that they are hindering all of society. They are bringing us down because they make us do their job if we want a country. If we want a justice system, we have to be the justice system. If we want to investigate, we have to be the investigator. I mean, it's things that we already pay for. We're getting the short end of the stick here. I want my money back. I want my taxpayer money back. Get rid of the Army. Get rid of these 4-star generals that have betrayed us, that can't do their duty. Get rid of this 2-star general that sits on his thumbs. He doesn't know what's right or wrong. He doesn't know what's right or wrong, then he shouldn't be a general. Why are we paying his wages? Why are we giving him that beautiful uniform with those beautiful stars that we require gets respect? And he is taking advantage of that respect that we have given him. And he's obstructing. Can't even make a decision with no less than 7, soon to be 8 letters with all kinds of evidence that this is a con job. This is a very costly obstruction of justice con job, because whatever Richard was trying to expose, they don't want exposed. Because is Richard's life more valuable than mine? Well, right now, yeah, because he doesn't have a criminal record. And it seems like all these people are criminals bringing us down, requiring a 100% disability paycheck every month. I mean, we have information that even James Hart uh, filed for an increase in his disability. I mean, these people don't stop. They want to make illegal money, producing uh, child pornography and every kind of other pornography to pollute our young volunteer sons and daughters' minds so that they can groom them into their doggy cults, so that they can groom them into treating women badly, treating children badly, groom them into, what, alcoholics then, PTSD. My goodness. Thank you, Donna, for coming on, and we're praying for your grandbabies. Um, Anyone that has had their hand in this case, and we're working hard for our service members. We're working hard, and I want to thank 193 signatures. Those that have signed their name to support this active duty Fort Bliss soldier whistleblower that very bravely has put in for a congressional inquiry that is moving forward. I want to thank you so, so much. And I want to ask you for more. I want you to campaign for more signatures for that petition to support this soldier, because he needs it. He needs it. Do you understand that they are suiciding soldiers? They're killing soldiers. They're grooming soldiers. They're abusing soldiers. They're unjustly retaliating against them. We need to support this soldier. So I'm asking to campaign for signatures for that petition. We're 7 away from 200. I think we can do that. 7 signatures, and I think we can double 200. I think we can do it. So please campaign for that. It's that important. It really is. And it is important for Richard's case. It is important for that young girl, 14, now probably 15 years old, that was being prostituted out while living in the barracks, illegally on Fort Bliss. But it is really important for every service member. And one thing I learned about children, and it showed me a little bit about humanity, is that sometimes they'll say, "Oh no, we don't want it, we don't want it, we don't want it," and then you do it for them, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Mom, for getting me out of that." I had to maintain because I didn't want to be retaliated against more. So thank you. So I think that this is what we need to do for our service members. And they might, try to play cool, try to continue to fit in. But while that is going on, we need to fight for a better environment for our service members. a more just environment, a more honorable environment, SOPs being followed, and everything else. And so, also for protection for whistleblowers. And that's why this petition is so important. And I hope that makes sense. I hope it does. Contact the El Paso Police for impound reports. Absolutely. Impersonating and documenting fraudulently is against the law, and any record signed would be invalid, in my opinion. And she provides documents about the fraudulent signing. I don't know. The judge and the court would have to decide what's going on there. But she, yeah, and it should be a federal office considering it would be a federal document, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, Danielle, you're super smart, and it is always glad. I'm so glad to have you on. Um, to Wow, we are a force to reckon with. Team Find Richard Halliday, and I want it to be a force, and a kind force, a kind, very strong, strong, strong force. Um, I really want justice to be done to those um, who really did hurt Richard and hurt Fort Bliss and hurt the American taxpayers and hurt our veterans. And I'm trying to, that's why it's taken so long, trying to go through and make sure that innocent people are not dragged into this. But names are going to drop. There's so many names, y'all, that we have. So many names. Um, uh, those that were selling illegal weapons to the Hart family, um, those in the CPS, the Child Protective Services, those in the CID internship, those at the VA that work with James Hart. We have so many names. And we just want to make sure that the innocent people are not dragged into this. So, thank you so much, everyone. Please sign the petition and campaign for it. And we will be back tomorrow, God willing,